Hello artists. This video is going to show us how to finish our drawings on our Zentangle template, cut it out, fold it, and eventually glue it together. So I have some supplies out here to help me with that, but first I need to make sure I'm actually done with my Zentangle drawing. So I have this one I just filled in quickly here to show you and represent that your Zentangle drawing should be done first before doing this step. So you should have met all of our project requirements and now you're ready to move on. I wrote these two notes here because before we start cutting out our pyramid template, I want you to first take an eraser and go over your entire drawing. Make sure you're erasing any pencil lines that might be there if you used pencil to work on this project. We want this to be a black and white Zentangle design. Now, if you did a second shape because you wanted to be more advanced and had extra time, you can do these same types of steps later after we finish our Zentangle pyramid. So I need to also make sure I include my initials. I'd like you to try and use your ultra fine point Sharpie to include your initials somewhere on here. Now, if we write your name, it might just be too big and stand out too much, but it is an option. Otherwise, your initials will be smaller to write in. You could choose somewhere to write them in where they might hide a little bit more, or they could stand out. That's really up to you and what you want your drawings to look like. So we've erased our pencil lines and we added our initials. We are now ready to cut out your template. So I'm going to use my scissors to cut out the template around this outer edge on the bold line. I want to cut on the line as much as possible so I don't have any of this white space over here showing. And we're going to go around the outside so that all of this stays together. We don't want to cut into our template at all. Part of your grade while you work is showing nice craftsmanship. So you want to take your time, use your best cutting skills to cut this template out. The best place to make a mistake if you're having difficulties is on the glue tabs. So if part of that gets cut off, that is okay. It actually won't affect or shouldn't affect your work too much. So I can recycle the scraps, and I'm gonna just double check any edges that could be cut more on the line. And I think I'm good to keep going. So once you're done cutting, we want to fold along the edges. So anywhere that there is a bold black line is where we're going to fold. Now, some of you might have so much Sharpie added, it's become hard to see those lines. If you hold it up to the light, you might be able to get it to show up a little bit. Otherwise, you can see my template and find those lines just by looking at mine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip this over and I'm going to fold on the bold line. Okay, I want to make sure when it's in a good spot, I really crease that over. If you have a strong fold and a good crease to that fold, it's really going to help your paper go from flat to three-dimensional more successfully. It's going to become a more solid three-dimensional shape by having those strong folds. So when I'm done here, if you need to pause the video for more time, please do so. So I'm folding and unfolding. Now when I hold this shape, it doesn't lay flat anymore, and I'm checking that I have all of the edges folded. If I miss something, I'll have to come back and do that, but it might be harder once I start to glue. So now we're gonna move on to gluing. I have 3 glue tabs. It doesn't really matter where you start. It's just important to know where you're connecting. So these 2 sides are simply going to come together. So I'm just gonna start with putting glue on 1 tab. If I do it to all of them at once, it'll be very difficult for me to hold this together. I'm using a glue stick today because it's a little bit less messy when I push my paper together. But if you're doing this at home and all you have is liquid glue, you just want just a little bit along the edge. If there's too much, it's just gonna ooze everywhere as you fold. So once I have some glue, I'm gonna make sure I take some time to line up my edge And I know that this glue will give me a little bit of time to wiggle it back and forth. And then I'm just pressing along that edge to make sure it's secure. So I'm putting my fingers all the way into the pyramid and using this finger on the outside and a finger on the inside to really push down. All right, so now I can see this is coming together here. I have 2 more glue tabs. So for this next step, if you want to do one at a time, that's fine. But what I like to do is put glue on both tabs, and then I'll bring them both together and press. So you can choose either method, but eventually we're going to put glue on here so that both tabs are pressed in. So I'm going to hold this one with my hand and get some glue on this tab here. This one I can still fold down on the table. So now is the tricky part. I have glue on both tabs. Now I'm going to press them together. This takes a little bit of patience. I'm using both hands to press inwards. And that last corner. So now what I want to do is make sure I'm pressing enough so it's going to hold together. Pressing gently, and ta-da! I have my Zentangle drawings now on a 3-dimensional shape. The nice thing about this 3-dimensional shape is you can choose which side is the bottom when you display your artwork. So if there's a side that maybe didn't turn out quite as well, you get that choice. But I hope that you're seeing a solid structure. And when we think about craftsmanship, we can kind of judge where we need to practice craftsmanship as an artist or what we might be doing successfully. Congratulations, you did it.